Alright, welcome to another video on general physics. Our topic on this video is vector multiplication naman. Alright. Vector multiplication is divided into three kinds of vector multiplication. One is product, the product of a vector, and a scalar. So again, if you remember yung two types of quantities, scalar quantities, mass, speed, ganyan. Dot product of two vectors. So, kasi ito with scalar, pero ito with two vectors. There's another kind of multiplying vectors, the cross product of two vectors. So, we'll see what the difference is between these three. First, the product of a vector and scalar multiplying a scalar k and a vector v is as simple as multiplying their magnitudes. So, parang nag-multiply ka lang ng two numbers. It's that easy. The product is also a vector with the same direction as v. Okay? When you multiply a scalar and a vector, it's just multiplying the magnitude, but you add the direction of v. Example, momentum, sometimes called mass in motion, momentum, mathematically is described as itong P is equal to mass times velocity. Mass is a scalar, velocity is a vector. Diba? Okay, so that's it. That's momentum. It's an example of the product of a vector and a scalar. You have an example and some exercises in page 43. You can pause the video and check it for yourself. Now, the dot product, sometimes also called the scalar product. It's called the scalar product because when you multiply two vectors through the dot product technique, you get a scalar quantity. Okay, so that's why it's sometimes called the scalar product. When multiplying two vectors A and B, the most important thing you have to remember is this. When you multiply two vectors, you see a naka-bold siya, oh, bold A, bold B. When you do a dot product, you multiply, tignan mo, hindi sila naka-bold because this is just the magnitude. Magnitude A times magnitude B times cosine theta. What is theta? Theta is the angle between the two vectors A and B. These are just magnitudes, okay? No direction here, walang direction dito. Just the magnitudes. And theta is the angle between the two of them. That's it. The result of a dot product can be positive, pwedeng negative, or sometimes zero. Say, para if you want a little help to imagine how that works, imagine this. Suppose this guy on the right is pulling an anvil for some reason. Wala lang, gusto niya lang. He's exerting a force F and has pulled the anvil for a displacement D. So, yun na yung na-achieve niya. Okay? Work, this is another equation in physics, diba? Work is given by the equation F times D cosine theta. If you can notice, yung F and D here, hindi sila naka-bold because you just get the magnitude. Okay? You just get the magnitude. If you fail to pull the anvil, kung hindi siya successful, the displacement maging zero. The work would also be zero. So that's why the dot product can be zero. If the anvil was displaced to the left, boom, yun yung D, napunta sa kabila, the work would be negative because cosine 120, the angle between the two vectors, is less than 0. You could check it with a calculator. You're going to see na magne-negative to. Magne-negative. Yung work is negative. So, kaya siya sinabi na dot product can be positive, can be negative, can be 0. Alright? So, this one is just the dot product of force, a vector, and D, also a vector. So, that's it. So, ngayon, the cross product naman, or sometimes called the vector product. Why is it called the vector product? Kasi ang result niya, also a vector. Yung dot product, scalar ang lalabas. Pero sa cross product, vector ang lalabas. There are two parts to a cross product. When you do a cross product, there are two parts. Number 1, calculating its magnitude, and number 2, determining its direction. Note that these are two separate parts, ha? Two separate parts yan. To calculate the magnitude of a cross product, A cross B, when you see this is a cross product. it's like this. The magnitude of A cross B is AB times sine theta. Theta is the angle between them. If you remember yung dot product, cosine ang ginamit ha, but with the cross product, it's sine theta. Okay, so ito, hindi siya naka-bold kasi it's just the magnitude. Okay, magnitude lang yan. Walang direction dyan. Kasi yung direction, you calculate it differently. To determine the direction of A cross B, nandito na tayo ha, step number 2, use the right hand rule. And this is the right hand rule. Sir, ano yan? Ano yung right hand rule? Well, I'm going to explain it to you in the next slide. The right hand rule, this is what we use to determine the direction of A cross B. Because madali lang kunin yung magnitude. Just use a calculator. A times B and then sine theta. That's it. Pero the direction naman is like this. First, you get the direction of A. There's A. You put your hand there. Yung index finger mo, your index finger, point it to where A is. And then, yung B, you open up your middle finger to where B is. Okay? A and B. Okay? A and B. And then, magkakaroon ka ng parang ano yan parang intersection. And then, you A cross B, the direction of the thumb. That's it. So, kung gusto nyo ulitin, you can rewind the video and you'll see na ganun lang siya. Yung A, doon sa index finger, middle finger sa B, A cross B, your thumb. That is why it's called the right hand rule. Some example and exercise are found in page 45 of your book, and that would be the end of this video. See you on the next one.